Between 1962 and 1965, the Catholic Church executed an expansive global gathering of its leadership. Thousands of bishops traveled to Rome, filling stadium-like seating in St. Peter's Basilica for the Second Vatican Council. The architect of this colossal undertaking, Pope John XXIII, had a specific intention: aggiornamento. He wanted to bring the Church up to date, famously suggesting they needed to open the windows and let in the fresh air of the modern 20th century world. That world has accelerated. The 21st century is moving at a velocity the Church has rarely encountered, presenting complex ethical dilemmas around artificial intelligence and the accelerating effects of global climate change. Simultaneously, shifting global populations are driving the displacement of millions, while postmodern views on sexual ethics are colliding with traditional doctrine across Western countries. Internally, the institutional structure is under heavy strain. Decades of clerical abuse scandals have shattered public trust, and the total number of young men entering the priesthood in the West is plunging. Faced with these converging threats, an increasing number of prominent theologians, pundits, and lay Catholic voices are making a specific demand. The Church needs to call Vatican III to figure out how to survive. Yet the highest levels of leadership are entirely rejecting that demand. Pope Francis and the newly elected Pope Leon XIV, who took office in 2025, have both made it clear that a new council is not on the agenda. A 2,000-year-old institution is navigating the most complex global landscape in its history, and its leaders are actively refusing to pull the most famous lever they have to fix it. To understand why a new council is off the table, we have to look at the physical and logistical reality of central church governance in Rome today. Comparing the global episcopate of the 1960s to today reveals a logistical roadblock. Vatican II accommodated roughly 2,500 bishops. Today, a modern council means over 5,000. Add deep ideological polarization, with traditionalist and progressive factions pulling in completely opposite directions on nearly every issue. Forcing 5,000 highly polarized leaders into a single room to debate the future wouldn't naturally yield a unified compromise. The logistical reality is that a high-stakes, winner-take-all confrontation carries a high risk of catastrophic schism. Pope Francis stated this plainly in 2023. He argued the Catholic Church isn't ready for a new council because the sweeping directives issued by the previous council are still technically unfinished. 60 years later, the constitutions of Vatican II remain highly contested ground. Traditionalists often view those documents as a dangerous rupture with the past, while progressive sectors argue the texts didn't push the boundaries far enough. An organization cannot safely draft sweeping new global rules when half of its members are still actively fighting over the implementation of the old ones. Instead of calling a mega-council, the Vatican is attempting to resolve its modern crises through a complex alternative governance concept known as synodality. This flowchart illustrates how synodality operates. It pivots away from a single top-down event in Rome, shifting toward a continuous, decentralized network of localized dialogues. This intentionally decentralizes power by integrating women and lay people directly into the decision-making process alongside the clergy. The physical manifestation of this shift is visible in modern synodal meetings. The stadium-style parliamentary seating of the 1960s has been replaced by round tables, laptops, and a structure designed to force egalitarian conversation. The Vatican hasn't given up on finding answers to 21st century problems. It has simply calculated that an ongoing, localized processing system is safer and more effective than a single, explosive global decree. Church governance is settling into a new rhythm. Rather than sprinting toward a dramatic, singular event to solve everything at once, leadership is preparing for a marathon of steady, localized adaptations. Global assemblies aren't entirely extinct in this new model. The Church is actively holding advanced ecumenical dialogues right now, such as exploratory talks with the Armenian Patriarch regarding a unified date for Easter. In an institution that measures its history in millennia, a future ecumenical council is never permanently off the table. If a third Vatican Council eventually materializes, theologians stress it must function as a seamless, organic continuation of Vatican II's work, rather than a harsh reversal or a sudden correction. Church leadership defines the institution as a mystery and a sacrament, a living body guided by the Holy Spirit, rather than a corporate bureaucracy seeking administrative efficiency. Internally, the prevailing belief is that the true defense against existential threats, like ecological collapse or the ethics of AI, emerges from the daily grassroots sanctity of individual members. This resilience is prioritized over top-down decrees. To navigate the crises of the modern age, the Church is betting its future on a decentralized model, relying on the quiet, continuous evolution of its people, instead of locking thousands of polarized bishops in a room to argue.
Gracias por ver, no olvides suscribirte y darle like para más contenido, nos vemos en el próximo video.